As I've loved video games for all my life, there are things I just love. Intriguing gameplay, awesome story, or awe-inspiring music. I just can't help but love these things in games. But there are times where things fall downhill. Things that make me so mad I want to cause bloodshed. These things in games that ruin the experience of the game for me. So now I'm going to count down my top 10 biggest killjoys of video games. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Didn't Falple's Minion and CJ do something like this? Yeah, they did, but this won't be somewhere. I may have suffered the same pain they did, especially Alia, but no entries on there will be here. Now what's up for grabs? Anything. A character, a boss, a level, or even a genre. This isn't going to be pretty. Now here's a game I've been playing for a while. SSX 2012. Man, I love this game. With gorgeous graphics, a great soundtrack, and awesome level design, this is a fantastic sports game. The new thing in this game is the 9 deadly descents you must conquer. Whether it's using a wingsuit in Patagonia, going through caves at Kilimanjaro, or trying to breathe on Mount Everest, these will challenge you. Then when you beat the 9 deadly descents, one final challenge arrives on that name, where you race your rival Griff Simmons to the bottom, and thus the rage begins. Alright, why is this on here? Well, simple. The stage is challenging. Is that it? No, it's a gauntlet of small deadly descents. The first part isn't bad, it's just a race to the cave. But when you get to said cave, it just takes the challenge and amps it up to 9,000. First off, there are crevices all over the place. One bad move, and you're down a pit. Secondly, the headlamp you're given isn't bright enough to see clearly. It only lets you see a small amount of vision, and considering the darkness of the cave, this is a problem. Third, at this point, Griff can rocket ahead to first place if you're not careful. But it gets worse. The next part is a wingsuit section on ice. That's 2 deadly descents in one section. Not only is the traction slippery, but Griff can rebound to first if you slip up. Literally. Immediately after that, you fly over to an avalanche section where that camera should have been placed in the actual avalanche levels. However, it's only at number 10 because after beating it, the stage got easier and I had less trouble with it. And that song is awesome. It's my second favorite song in the game next to I Stand Alone. EA, please make another SSX game. I want more of this. The Legend of Zelda franchise. You've been one of my favorites since childhood. And what do you know, my number 9 spot goes to not only the first Zelda game I've ever played, but the very first game I've ever played. Majora's Mask. What hasn't been said about this amazing game? Depressing themes, awesome music, gorgeous and gloomy atmospheres, great level design? Yeah, I'll say it, I don't like most of the temples in this game. Now, Woodfall and Stone Tower are great temples, and many dungeons like the Iconic Castle and the Pirate Fortress are awesome to go through. However, I generally don't like the Snowhead Temple due to its ice physics and multi-floored rooms, which scarily reminds me of the Ice Palace from A Link to the Past. But there is a temple worse, and dare I say, the worst dungeon in Zelda history. The Great Bay Temple. The Great Bay Temple is awful for many reasons, whether it be the overwhelming amount of rooms, the constant switching on water pressure, the amount of backtracking required, the complicated structure that makes it very easy to get lost, and oh yeah, you're also under a time limit. In Majora's Mask, you have 3 days to save the town of Termina. If not, the moon crashes. 3 days in Termina is equal to 54 minutes in game time. That's really stingy. Luckily with the inverted Song of Time, the amount of time triples so you have nearly 3 hours. Then let's finish this temple off with a terrible boss. Georg not only hits hard, but is very hard to counter because it's unpredictable in its pattern. Great Bay is only at number 9 because while the dungeon is so long and tedious, the outcome is kind of worth it. Has anybody ever watched Speed? It was a great and thrilling movie about a bus that couldn't go below 50 miles an hour, or else a bomb would explode, killing everyone on board. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because someone at Nintendo decided it was a smart idea to put that in a challenging and unforgiving game. F-Zero GX's story mode was already challenging enough with its impossible missions, but this mission takes the cake as the hardest mission in F-Zero history. In this mission, Batman wannabe here straps a bomb to your racer and you must keep your speed above 700 kilometers an hour. And if you don't... This mission also has cars that are in front of you that will slow your speed, and the track is designed for turning all the time, so your speed will lower. This mission is impossible, and this is why my story mode is still not completed. Hey, let's play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Alright, they added Sonic and Snake. Final Smashes. Story mode, wait, what? Subspace was a fun addition to Brawl. It was fun to team up with a friend or sibling and take down the story mode. With an enthralling experience and fun without, it's a fun time. However, there is a reason that I haven't touched Subspace since I completed it. The Great Maze. Oh no, not this nightmare. The Great Maze is nightmare incarnate. It's so large, it's so spacious, it's so boring. This place took me 2 hours to beat. It took my friends longer. This place has save points for a freaking reason. Because of this place, I no longer play the Subspace Emissary and stick to battling. Conker's Bad Fur Day. What can be said about this amazing game? Great plot, fun and challenging gameplay, and hilarious dialogue. It's a fun game on the N64. There are many fun chapters in this game. Whether you're going to Winnie & Co., Spooky, or even ending up in crap, it's a fun game. However, one chapter annoys me beyond belief, and it only has 2 words. It's war. Psychotic frickin' teddy bears. Not only is this chapter morbid and disturbing, but it is extremely difficult. Bullets fly everywhere in the beginning. Then you have to use machine guns and the aiming is really hard to use. Then you're dodging lasers. Then you have to rely on Rodent for a shield. And what's worse than all of this? An annoying boss fight. The experiment is long, arduous, and annoying. This chapter sucks. It's long, challenging, and irritating. At least the final chapter's better. Tony Hawk has had some fantastic games in his franchise, and lately it's... well... Growing up, I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3, American Skateland, Project 8, and of course, Underground. While I love both the console and handheld ports of these games, I enjoy Underground the most because of its interesting story and great gameplay. However, one character always ruined my fun. Eric Sparrow is the biggest douche in the entire franchise. He's whiny, cocky, and a huge jerk to you in Underground. In Underground, Eric wants to help your character rise to fame, but halfway through the story, Eric takes your demo and hides it, replacing it with his own, and as such leaves your character with nothing to show the team. Eric also gets your character into way too much trouble in the story. He lights a car on fire, insults a cop and gets arrested, and even steals a Russian tank and blames it on you. After all this, you go back to your hometown in New Jersey, and after you match his line, you take the tape and rise to fame without him. However, I prefer the alternate ending.
I tell you what, I'll buy you out for $500,000 right now. I got my checkbook.
I told you, it was never about the money.
Right, I forgot. Mr. Pure, I should have fixed you back in Tampa.
Tell it to your posse. We're through. I've got everything I need.
Not this. Remember? Hawaii, building jump, helicopter? That was some sick footage. Too bad no one ever saw it.
You backstabbing, mob-flipping cockroach!
Hey! What do you say? One last trip around the neighborhood. Winner takes the tape.
Earthbound is probably one of my favorite RPGs of all time. Great story, lovable characters, great battling, and one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. However, I hate homesickness. If you don't know, Earthbound is a mechanic where you have to call your mother every now and then, or else Ness gets homesick. Homesickness can happen at random, and it's not pleasant. Ness's attack will miss at random, PSI won't hit, and sometimes he won't even use items. It's a mechanic that's especially irritating if you're in a dungeon where there is no phone in sight. Reason why it's only number 4 though is because it can be easily cured by either visiting her yourself or calling a phone, so it isn't that big of a deal. Still, homesickness is really bad if you don't take care of it immediately. Final Fantasy V, How I Love You So. This is such a great RPG. In fact, it's one of my favorites of all time. With a great story, awesome soundtrack, and amazing bosses, this game kept me replaying it a lot. However, Go-Go is not an amazing boss. Go-Go is located in the sunken Walls Tower and is the holder of the missing shard. This place is entirely underwater, so you are on a time limit in this place. Now, there are some problems with the fight itself. As mentioned, you're on a time limit in this place, so you can't dilly-dally. Second, Go-Go being a mime will mimic everything you do except stronger. An attack will hit harder, magic will hit harder, he'll defend harder, and heal more. So how are you supposed to win against him? Do nothing. Yeah, you heard that right. Go-Go is in fact a boss that can be beat by doing absolutely nothing. I mean, if he was this challenging, he also has to have a good reward. But no, the mime ability sucks. Go-Go ruined my fun when I played the advanced port, and he still baffles me as a boss. And this is why he sits in the airship when I play 6. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite series of all time. It combines great gameplay, interesting stories, gorgeous and fun levels, and fantastic boss fights. I was tempted to put Atlantica on here, but I found something worse, and sadly it comes from one of my favorites, 358 Days Over 2. Now, before you start to say this game is terrible, please hear me out. First, I don't hate the panels. I see it as a way to challenge yourself in the game because trust me, this game is actually pretty easy. Second, I really enjoy the story because it gives more of a backstory on Roxas and the rest of Organization 13. Third, I think the combat is really good. Sure, there's no reaction commands, but certain keyblades do allow you to combo. But I'm getting off topic. There are 3 things I don't like in this game, and all of them are bosses. But only one I truly despise. I don't like the Leech Grave as the battle takes a while and it can kill you quickly if you aren't careful. The Rule of the Sky combines those problems with flying, and the fact that 90% of the fight you're chasing this coward. But what if we take the long battle time, the quick deaths, and the flying and amp it up? Ladies and gentlemen, Dust Flyer. What an abomination of a boss. Dust Flyer is the epitome of cruel. Let's run down his attacks. First, a rain of fireballs that can burn you and take a majority of your health. Second, a jumping shockwave attack that can give you any negative status effect. Meaning if you get flip foot or shoe glue, which will make it hard to move and you can't jump. Third, a backflip that can have your HP, not to mention you have baddies on your blonde self at all times. But what's worse than that? Did I mention that this was the boss rush? Yep, you fight 6, count them 6 other bosses before this thing, so you will not be at your freshest. And what's even worse? Well, if you die, you have to go through all of these fights before you fight this thing again. However, there is one thing that I hate more than all of them. You know, there are a lot of old school games that are in my top 50 games of all time. Games like The Legend of Zelda, Castlevania, Mega Man are amazing, as well as Super Ghouls and Ghosts, among others. However, one complaint I have with these games is what I think is the worst thing ever in video games, and I really do mean worst thing ever. Knockback. Why? Knockback is bad. I don't wanna
Do it!
But it sucks.
Just do it!
Fine. Knockback is one of the worst mechanics in gaming ever. It plagues the games I mentioned earlier, Ninja Gaiden, multiple SpongeBob games, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Kingdom Hearts, and many, many, many others. It's such an annoying mechanic that ruins such great games. Why is Knockback even a thing? Ladies and gentlemen, Knockback is without a doubt the biggest killjoy in gaming history. I'm Payday045, and Knockback really does suck.